Democrats and some Republicans are speaking out against President Trump's racist tweets about 4 Democratic congresswomen. House Democrats introduced a resolution condemning the president's comments. Mr. Trump told the lawmakers, who are women of color and American citizens, to go back to their countries. The House could vote today on that resolution. So far, at least 28 Republicans have criticized the president's words.
Yesterday, the 4 congresswomen apparently targeted by the president, he didn't name them specifically, slammed his comments as racist. This morning on Twitter, President Trump accused the group of saying some of the, quote, most vile, hateful, and disgusting things ever said by a politician. He said the House should vote to rebuke them.
Ibram Kendi is a professor and director of the Antiracist Research and Policy Center at American University in Washington, D.C. He's made the trip to join us at the table here in New York. Good morning. Good to see you.
Good morning.
Professor Kendi. You know, take us to the history about go back to where you came from. Why is that considered a racist statement? I know it made a lot of people cringe when he said it.
Well, in the 19th century, there were many reformers, racial reformers, who thought that the way to solve the race problem, the Negro problem, was to essentially send back all free blacks. And that started with Thomas Jefferson, his Notes of the State of Virginia, which was published in 1787 and went all the way up to Abraham Lincoln.
And it's never said about Caucasians or white people of European descent, is it, ever?
It is not, because it's assumed that this is their country. And so where would they go back to?
Yeah.
But people of color, it's assumed that this is not their country.
As we reported, some of the president's supporters have called his tweets inappropriate, not racist. What do you say to that?
Well, first, I'd say there's no such thing as not racist. There's racist and anti-racist. And racist ideas suggest that there's something wrong or right, superior or inferior about a particular group. It suggests that there's something inherently normal about white Americans, that Americans are white and whites are Americans. And his ideas suggest that somehow people of color are not American, and that's deeply racist.
But, Professor, I heard one of his supporters say they're not racist because in the tweets he never mentions race. So how can it be? So I heard someone say he never mentions race. How could it be considered racist?
So poll taxes, grandfather clauses, these were voting suppression bills that are widely considered by Americans today to be racist, but there were no racial language in them. You don't have to have racial language in an idea or even in a policy for it to be racist. It's about what its outcome. Are you suggesting that there's something wrong with a particular group? Or is it creating inequity? That's the true measure of whether something is racist.
What role do Republicans play in sort of checking the president about these comments? You hear them say it's unacceptable, it's divisive, it's you know, people are frustrated, but some of them are not really calling out this behavior as racist. What role do they play in sort of helping move this conversation forward or get a better understanding of how our president can say that and some people really feel like that's not offensive?
I think Republicans should play the same role as all Americans, and that is to identify racism when they see it, and to say that America is not going to stand for it. And this is a bipartisan issue. This is an issue that cuts across lines. Either we're a nation of immigrants, either we're a nation where everyone is included, or we're a nation of white people. And I think we have to decide, and Republicans need to decide, what type of nation are they going to stand up for.
The White House says the president has repeatedly condemned racism and bigotry in all forms.
So every group of racists in American history have condemned bigotry and racism in all forms, except their form, right? So slaveholders condemned it, segregationists condemned it, mass incarcerators condemned it. They all condemn it, but they all deny their own racism. That's essential to racism itself.
Congresswoman Ilhan Omar has come under fire for some of the remarks she made that she said people say some anti-Semitic and divisive things. Should she be criticized? Do you see the comparison between her remarks and what the president said as the same?
I do not.
Why?
I mean, she was very specific in criticizing the policies of a country. In this case, the country was Israel. Mm-hmm. Trump has specifically criticized racial groups of people. When he said that Mexicans are rapists, when he said that black people, that a trait of blacks is laziness. This is a condemnation of a racial group of people. That is effectively racism. when we criticize a country's policies, that is not, when you criticize Israeli policies, that's not anti-Semitic. But when you say there's something wrong with Jews, that is. And I haven't heard her say that.
Can you write racist things and say racist tweets and not be a racist?
What you do in terms of what you say, what policies you support, determines whether you're being racist or anti-racist. So no, if you say things that are racist, you're racist. Just like if you say things that are anti-racist, the next minute you're being an anti-racist. What we do is effectively who we are in that moment.
And the people that don't criticize them, do you criticize those remarks? Are they racist? Because I've heard people say, well, I like his policies. I don't like that he said that, but I like some of his policies.
So when you have a politician who is mass producing and circulating racist ideas as some ones I just described, saying that immigrants from the South are criminals, but never says anything about immigrants from Europe or even the North. When you have someone who says these things and you don't challenge them, you're effectively supporting them yourself. You're effectively being racist yourself.
All right, Ibram Kendi, thank you so much for being with us this morning. It's